Guys, deluded. YouTube's Lucas Terrera. I'm back again. Thank you very much for tuning in, man, and it means the world to me. So yeah, should players be able to change their nationalities once they've represented another one? Now, I mean, it does throw me up two ways. I do believe yes and no, and throughout the course of this vid, I hope you guys have made your decisions, or if you haven't, because I ain't made my decision on it, get some more clarity. Now, how do we quantify? I always say picking a country to represent, especially for those of you that are like me and like we've ironically seen this past week about Ozil and the whole German stuff. We don't need to get into that. But if you're like me, yes, I was born in London. Yes, I was born in England. Yes, I'm as English as it gets, but I'm also feel as Caribbean as it gets. I've grown up in it. I've actually spent a period of my life living there as well, not for months or nothing, but a month. And then I would speak about that one time, but it fills me with great memories of a loved one that's no longer here, and I don't want to share everything. So yeah, um, yeah. So if you're dysphoria like me, you feel both nations. You feel every okay. You might not live there, and people can talk their crap. Or even if you're of Asian descent, I know I have a lot of Bangladeshi and Pakistani friends that obviously their forefathers, their grandparents, or their parents were born in Pakistan or Bangladesh or India. But they're not from there, but they were born in London. So if they were footballers, they would feel the same thing. So do you pick your mother nation, your heritage, where you're actually from, or do you pick you were born here? So I wouldn't say it's your adopted home, but the country you're in as a result of your family wanting to better themselves either economically or flee conflict. It's a difficult decision. I mean, just look at England, just look at France, and all of them. It's filled of multicultural. And if we're honest, I mean, let's without getting all funny and stuff, like some people and their heritage or ancestry is scientifically proven to be European or African, or there's even evidence of some people living in the Caribbean or living in other parts of the regions before colonial powers and all these things came ahead. But this is not for them sort of vids. So you've got the heritage and your belonging in a sense of worth. You've got that reason to pick a country. You've also got you got to keep it trill. You got to just keep it sport just normal footballing matters, sporting matters, achievement matters. I mean, if I was to look at Jamaica and England, if I'm in Sterling's shoes, he was born in Jamaica, he's lived in London. You're obviously going to pick England because they have more chance, not that they can, but they have more chance of winning the World Cup. They have more chance of achieving stuff on a collective point of view. Obviously, a lot of these countries in the Caribbean and African countries and a lot of third world nations, corruption is something specific into football is what harms them because especially around money. Look at Kylian Mbappe's dad. His dad wanted him to play for Cameroon. Cameroon were asking for finances that he couldn't provide. France asked him for no such, so he did. Of course, there's another debate to have. So if people are doing that sort of stuff, why would you want to play? Look at Leon Bailey. I don't think he's going to play for Jamaica anymore. I think he qualifies for Belgium. I can't be right on that, but he hasn't played. Why? Because his dad / his agent doesn't want him to play. Not because he's not proud to be Jamaican. I mean, he'll have no greater honour than seeing his young son, his son playing for the country and things like that. But why would you want your son to play if the country doesn't want to I don't want to say doesn't want to excel because we all want to excel, but the people higher powers that be, they're not doing things that will enable the country to excel on the sporting front. So why would he waste his time? Obviously, he wants to go World Cup and do all of these things. I've told you previously. I've spoken at an event to a previous Jamaican football international, and he has said to me, and which it kind of hurt me, but it was the fact he said at the time they might have changed. I don't know. That someone might have stepped down or whatever. I don't know, but he said the only way that Jamaica can get the changes that it needs is if the people in charge, the person in charge, I forgot his name, has to die. So from a man saying that, does it sound like you got much confidence in anything? So there's also that. So there's many reasons people pick countries and do all of these things. But for me, I do believe, yes, you should be able to change your nation. But I do believe no. And I say no because you look at Munir. Munir tried to go and play for Morocco, which he probably should have been allowed to. But Munir, when he was banging at Barcelona, he was that young 17-year-old child or young teenager, young adult per se, young man, got into the Barcelona side, played for Spain and stuff like that. If his career went the way it was projected initially, do you think he would? No, I don't want to say he wouldn't give a crap about Morocco because he would clearly care about his nationality. But would he consider playing for them? No, because Spain had the best chance of winning. Now that you can't get in the Spain squad of things, you want to play for them. Zaha has obviously reverted and gone back to Ivory Coast, but he picked England over his birth nation before that because for whatever reason, it's no right or no wrong. He picked them because for whatever reason, whether it was more sporting, whether he felt more English or less English English, whatever. He's picked them now, innit? Benzema could have played for Algeria. He picked France. I actually feel sympathetic to for out Benzema, for instance, because he has virtually no chance of playing for France, so he maybe should be allowed to pick Algeria. But they reached out to him and he turned it down because he wanted to. He feels that he's from both. He wanted to play for France. Mesut Ozil wanted to play for Turkey, been backed up by being a World Cup winner. I mean, for Germany, backed up by being a World Cup winner. Feels every bit German. Obviously, with the backlash you're now currently seeing and things like that, maybe he would want to play for Turkey now, and maybe he should be allowed to. But I'm pretty sure a lot of you, whether you're from Turkey, Jamaica, anywhere in Africa, Cameroon that I've mentioned, regardless of these nations not being anywhere near their European counterparts, which I've listed, it's a pride thing. Why do you want second best players? You don't really want second best players. On one hand, you have to put the pride aside and take them and if you want to, I mean, if Jamaica were to excel, we'd have to go for the English youth players in the 16s to 18s, 21s that you can look at and say they're not really going to be figuring for England in the future. Let's convert them. Similar to what Nigeria to a degree tried with Akpom and Anya and Iwobi. It's nothing to do with pride. It's nothing to do with getting at the players. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do. So it does put me in a rough spot. And I also do believe it runs the risk of making, if people were allowed to play for two nations, to a degree it would make it a bit gimmicky. Because I mean, could you imagine that Ozil's now a World Cup winner, he now goes and plays for Turkey? That's not really the best example. Let's just I don't know. Let's just say Kylian Mbappe. He's obviously done things for France. He's won the World Cup. Let's just say he switches to Cameroon and for sentimental reasons, they qualify for the World Cup. They obviously get out the group stages. They do whatever, and if they win it or fall short, it's a fantastic achievement and something that would stay with him for life. But to me, I think that's a bit gimmicky because you've already done it with France. You can't. That opens up the door for everybody to play for about 4 or 5 nations if you can. To be honest, I do believe the rules should be a bit more relaxed, and in extreme cases of Benzema, maybe to a degree, Munir, despite what I'm saying, should be allowed to. And things like that. It's weird, man. Because if you could imagine that, you would also have scenarios like, okay, in England you qualify for a work permit or whatever footballing matters if you stay here for a certain amount of time. Big up my Football Manager people. So let's just say you're not from England. You're from, I don't know. You're from. Let's F it. You're from Morocco. You're of a Moroccan descent. You are Moroccan. You're not English in any stretch of the imagination. You stayed in England long enough to now qualify to play for England. That's opened up the door. Boom, you play for England. You're of direct Italian bloodline. Opens up the door to play for Italy. You then go and play for Italy. You get you move as a footballer. You then move to another country and you gain citizenship. You now go and represent them. So you could have about 4 or 5 countries and things like that. And even if you want to be picky, many people have heritage and then sub parts of the heritage. I know a lot of people that are Moroccan, Algerian, and France and other nations. So that opens up the door for them to be playing for about 4 or 5 countries. I get national pride in these things, but it would be a bit comical, don't you think, people? Like, I mean, if I look at my heritage, I could play for England, Barbados, or Jamaica. If I could play for all 3 of them, I would love to, but I do think it would be very gimmicky of me and very corny. And yeah, like. And also, again, I know many people's nations must feel like this. You don't, once they've turfed the thing, you don't care anymore. It's that, innit? Obviously, people playing for their countries is nothing new, because you've seen Costa play for Brazil in some capacity and then play for Spain. You've seen Thiago Motta and Jorginho do the same more or less for Brazil. So yeah, obviously I'm not old enough to remember, but Di Stefano, he's played for Argentina, Spain, and Colombia. I mean, he actually, if you go and look at it, his bloodline's actually Italian and French. So maybe if he pond RIP him and stuff, but maybe he could have even played for them and stuff like that, and whatnot. He played 31 times for France, 6 times for Argentina, and 4 times for Colombia. Obviously, Platini played for France and Kuwait. Now, he only played 1 game for Kuwait at the request of someone, a bit before my time, but you get it. And definitely before my time, I believe his name's Monti. He played for Argentina and Uruguay. So I do believe the law should be relaxed a bit in the extreme cases to allow people to play for more than one nation, but I don't think there should definitely be some sort of criteria or some sort of serious reason for allowing them to change nations. But I don't think widespread you should be allowed to get called up by England, and then you get called up by Ireland, and then you can be called up by Scotland, and then maybe if you got Welsh and you can be called up by Wales. It'd be ridiculous. Could you imagine someone like England's very own Owen Hargreaves? I swear he's of Canadian, Welsh, English, obviously, and German, and all other nationalities. Imagine he represented all of them. Like, it would be ridiculous. It would be ridiculous. I mean, even if you could imagine Messi, I mean, let's just say Messi's always never hidden from wanting to represent his country's birth country in Argentina. But let's just say, alright, boom, he won '08 Olympics. He did his thing. Let's just say he thought to himself, alright, Iniesta and Xavi are quite good. Spain got a good side. I qualify for Spain. Let me play for Spain 2010. He wins World Cup. He busts out. 2014, he says, let me go back to Argentina. He does what he does for Argentina. And then that's the end of it. And then obviously for us Messi fans, it'll be good because he's got a World Cup. But it'll get gimmicky. It will get gimmicky. Like it would be ridiculous in my eyes, to be honest. So I get the reasons for and against it. I do sympathise with players that have picked European nations despite being of other heritage and then played for other nations and then get backlash. But at the same time, what do you expect? And at the same time, if I'm the Jamaican FA, the Turkish FA, the Cameroonian FA in Benzema's case, I mean Mbappe's case, or if I'm in Benzema's case, the Algerian FA, yeah, on one hand, I'll take you regardless of you turfing us because you're effing good players. But at the same mind, I'd be like, you're on the second best thing. Like you weren't. I don't want to say it's not necessarily the case, but that's why I would look at it. Like you, for whatever reason, we can't pussyfoot around that. You deem this the second best thing, so you can't then just because you're not blowing at that thing, you're trying to come here now because that means you don't rate us really and truly. So yeah. It is one that will always divide me. I mean, even Mesut Ozil, he's retired from Germany, he's been hounded out essentially, he still feels every bit German, but imagine if he wanted to go and play for Turkey. You should have picked Turkey before. Like, you really should have picked Turkey before then, isn't it? I've got a lot of sympathy, but for the purpose of strictly this video, yeah, I don't really, to be fair with you, like, I don't really, well, it is what it is, man. Guys, deluded, get in the comments, subscribe and do the rest. I'm out.